Always trying to up the numbers, yeah, just so we can shine this summer, yeah. What's the price? I don't know the price. We just trying to live life in paradise. Lifestyle, 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 lifestyle. Oh, lifestyle, 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 lifestyle. What's the price? We don't know the price. We just trying to live life in paradise. Always trying to up the numbers, yeah, just so we can shine this summer, yeah. What's the price? I don't know the price. We just trying to live life in paradise. Lifestyle, 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 lifestyle. Oh, lifestyle, 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 lifestyle. What's the price? We don't know the price. We just trying to live life in paradise. Always trying to up the numbers, yeah, just so we can shine this summer, yeah. What's the price? I don't know the price. We just trying to live life in paradise. Lifestyle, 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 lifestyle. Oh, lifestyle, 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 lifestyle. What's the price? We don't know the price. We just trying to live life in paradise.
How's everybody doing tonight? See, we got a couple of folks already joining as it starts. So, if you're tuning in right now, you're going to be in for a special treat. We got the one and only Blockchain Bully that's going to be a special guest here in just a few moments. But if you've been with my show before, you know, we get started. If you've been watching my show before, we get started by going over just the quick performance of the stock market, and then we're going to go ahead and dive deep into Bitcoins, blockchains, cryptocurrency, the works with our special guest. So let's go ahead and get tonight's show going. Gotta put the disclaimers up, gotta have the legalese. All right, so today on the markets was pretty much a down day. Like a lot of times at the end of the month, people were cutting their losses or locking in their, gains. So Dow Jones Industrial Average was down 1.5%, down 380 points. S&P 500 was down 1.11%. Nasdaq was the better performer, only down a little over 1/4%. Russell 2000 was the big loser on the day, down 1.56%. Bitcoin, as of about an hour ago, was down about a percent and a half in the last 24 hours. Gold was up 80 cents. The euro was up a hundredth of a 300%, and the 10-year bond was down a little over a point in the thirds in the day at 2.87 on the yield. Tonight again we have a very special guest. If you're on Instagram, if you're on Facebook, this guy right here is the blockchain. Him on board. Can you hear me, Amir?
Clearly?
I can hear you fine, my man. I wanted to, introduce the folks to, you and the information that you're bringing. If you aren't following him, his links and information is on the screen now. I was a little bit delayed on getting that up there, but I mean, tell the folks a little bit about, what you do, your perspective that you're bringing to the market, and why you feel cryptocurrencies are such an important tool for people to learn.
Okay, no problem, no problem. Well, my name's Amir, the Chicago crypto hustler, Bitcoin block bully, and I'm a cryptocurrency consultant, meaning that I help people to understand, overstand, and understand this phenomenon that they're calling Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. Um, you can say that I'm new to it. I've only been dipping and dabbling with cryptocurrencies for the past 10 months, but within those 10 months, I have been able to completely take myself out of the chains of, I'm going to say economic slavery, meaning I don't work for any government entity. I don't hustle in the streets. All I do is cryptocurrency. I am able to sustain not only myself, but my family as well, due to the many advantages that we are given with cryptocurrency. Now, for those that may be new to cryptocurrency and may not know what it is, it's just another form of currency. The newest form of currency that is coming into the new paradigm right now. If we look back in history, currency, the first thing that I like to show people or try to get people to understand is what currency is, because a lot of us don't really know the real terms of what they're using, such as fiat. A lot of people don't know that piece of paper within their pocket is just fiat, and it's really just a means of exchange. There's no actual value to it. In all actuality, it's just a Federal Reserve debtor note, meaning it is just a note used to pay off a debt, which we can go down the rabbit hole deep with that, but we're not even going to get into all that. But basically, this is the currency of the future as much as it is the currency of the now. You understand what I'm saying? Within, and this is how I like to look at cryptocurrency. Right now it's fun and games. People are making money. They're buying, they're selling, they're trading. The one thing that we have to understand is that this is not, it's for us, but it's for our children and our children's children. cryptocurrencies right now is we're just at the surface level. We haven't even broken soil yet with this thing. We're still in the baby stages. I won't even call it baby stages. I don't even think that it's actually been born yet. We're still in the fetus stages, if you ask me, because there is no mainstream adoption yet. It's coming in slowly but for surely. For those that are in the field, you may seem like everyone knows about it. You know, I'm late coming in, but globally speaking, I believe when they did the statistics, at the highest, I believe they said it's about 10% of the world's population that is knowledgeable about cryptocurrency or Bitcoin. So when you think that you late coming to the show, believe me when I tell you you're early. You're early. This is almost the equivalent of getting in on the gold rush before everyone knew that the gold rush was even occurring. You understand what I'm saying? So I encourage people to not just jump in. Don't ever jump into anything without having a full understanding or understanding. Are you still with me, brother? Can you hear me clearly?
I can hear you fine. I think we have some listeners saying they have some difficulties, so I'm working on the audio from my end. So if you are having difficulties hearing them, definitely catch the playback. It's going to be posted here right after the show, or it's going to be on the YouTube as well. I'm still learning this new system I'm doing that's got me on the Facebook and the YouTube at the same time, but I think we are doing better now from the feedback that I'm getting in the group.
Okay, no doubt.
Say hi.
Okay, say hi.
Hi.
How you doing?
Tell them what we do over here. Tell them.
Bitcoin.
Right. We're dealing with Bitcoin over here. She's only 5 years old, and Bitcoin is one of her favorite words as of right now. I'm talking about this is who you're supposed to be doing it for, family. This is who you're supposed to be doing it for. Our children, as well as our children's children, will not be dealing with, in my opinion, always remember, these are just my opinions, my thoughts. Don't take anything that I say as any type of law, as the end all, know all. These are just my opinions, these are my experiences. Let me get my disclaimer out real quick. I'm not a financial advisor. I cannot give you financial advice. I'm not a tax advisor. I cannot give you tax advice. I'm simply a guy who shares his experiences and know-how with cryptocurrency. And everything I say, you can take as educational and or entertainment purposes. Now, with that being said, in my humble opinion, 100 years from now, they're not going to be dealing with Federal Reserve notes that got all these dead guys on them. They're not. If we look at the way the world is going right now, everything is going to digital. In fact, as I remember back when I think I was like maybe 2021, I was working for ADT, and what they had us doing was going around Chicago and the neighborhoods, and we were switching everyone's security system from analog over to digital. Now, at the time, I really didn't understand what I was doing. It was as simple as hooking up car speakers in a car, connect the wires, and they're upgraded. Now that I see where everything is going, it makes a lot more sense. Everything is going digital, so it's only right that the currency follows. And we've already, believe it or not, we've been using digital currencies. When you use a debit.
Every time you use your credit card, your debit card, every time you get a direct deposit, every time you use your Cash App to do a transfer to somebody, you are using a form of digital currency. The only difference between that form of digital currency, which is really just a digital fiat, is that with blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies, it is decentralized and the users are the power of the system.
Right. There you go. And let me say this also. With the way that things are going, if we look at back in history and we look at what happened to Zimbabwe with the Zimbabwe dollar, if I'm correct, I believe that was the country where the dollar got so overinflated to whereas right now they don't even use it. It's worthless. It's toilet paper. It's fireplace paper, whatever the case may be. Is simply worthless.
Right. I think inflation got to something ridiculous, like it was like 500 billion Zimbabwe dollars. Like basic necessities like bread and fruits and stuff.
Right. And as I was explaining to people, you better jump on the board now because there's gonna come a point in time where you're gonna go into the corner store or the grocery store and you're gonna go get milk and you're gonna have options. Now the options are gonna be, you know, you can buy this with fiat currency, Federal Reserve notes, cash, whatever you want to call it. Now the price cash may be, you know, $10, $15 for a gallon of milk. But you may have an alternative to use one of the digital currencies such as Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, and the price may be at a highly discounted rate. But if you're not knowledgeable about the currency, when you go in there, you're going to be spending that $10, $15 in milk money. And if you think that what I'm saying may be frivolous or impossible, think back to, I mean, I don't know anybody's age group that may be listening in, but you know, I'm past my 30s. So I think back to what my parents used to tell me of how when they used to go to the grocery store and, you know, a dollar, a nickel, a dime used to get them a long way. That's because the value of the dollar was higher back then. Ever always
Yeah.
remember, it's all about the value of said instrument that we're using. And the value is only what we give it at the end of the day. You understand what I'm saying? So one thing we got to understand that the American dollar is not worth the dollar that it's printed on. You can actually go on I forgot the website. It might be Live Markets, but you can actually go look and see how much the American dollar is worth. And I can almost guarantee you that it's probably worth about 89 cents, 88 cents, 90 cents. It's not worth $1.
Right. Against the euro, it's about 80 something cent. I'd like to say like 89. I think as of today it was like 89.5003
Right.
per dollar for a euro. But again,
Right.
like you're saying, you know, all these currencies are all really just a means of trade. So whatever value you can get for your dollar, for your Bitcoin at that moment you're trying to conduct trade is the true value of something. It doesn't matter what is printed on, it doesn't matter what the system says. Is if you're on an island and if you got a hamburger and the other dude got a brick of gold, who's rich?
Right. Right. Hey, I'm gonna tell you something. A lot of people wouldn't know how to answer that, huh? Yep, enjoying Bitcoin. You got to tell them that. Enjoying Bitcoin.
I love it that you got your little ones already on it, man. My kids come here all the time when I'm trying to do this show, and I just let them sit there and watch and soak it in. Because, like you say, everything we're building and that's happening now is going to be their lives. You know what I'm saying? Like you were saying, like how our parents and grandparents grew up on dollars, and they could go down to the store with $2 in their pocket and walk out with 2 bags worth of food. Nowadays, $2 to get you a candy bar. We got to instill the kids now, get them knowledgeable now, so by the time they become adults, they become our age, they're already on the game. They already know how to work the system. They already know not to fall for the fool's gold that is fiat currencies.
Right.
Now, I want to, kind of give you a chance to, talk a little bit more about the videos you'll be posting and how you'll be educating about, cryptocurrency trading and how people can participate more in the trading aspect. I know a lot of people are, they got a Coinbase account, they bought Bitcoin, they sitting on Bitcoin, but they have no idea that you can trade Bitcoin and get one of the other thousands of cryptocurrencies that are available currently.
Definitely. As of right now, there is over 1,515 different currencies, different cryptocurrencies, let me add. So when people first come into this market, a lot of people only hear about the top coins, especially if all you know about is Coinbase, all you know about is Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, and Bitcoin Cash. And another thing that people don't realize that there is a proper time when you want to come in and purchase a coin. I got a saying that I should patent, but I tell people, friends don't let friends buy in on downtrends. So if we look back at the history of Bitcoin and we remember back in December where, we see from October to December, we see Bitcoin shoot up percentages of over hundreds of percent. I've seen Bitcoin personally go from, let me see, I think I started dealing with Bitcoin when it was around $800-900, maybe $1,000. And I seen within months it go from $1,000 to $20,000. One of the most amazing things I ever seen. But what I did notice is that a lot of people that were coming in were just buying it because they didn't fully understand the system. They just thought that it was this thing people were putting their money in and they were getting more than what they put in. And that wasn't the fact of the matter. The fact of the matter is that just the value was going up. Now we can get into the whole thing of who was pumping the value, the value up, the volume up. You know, was it big money, J.P. Morgan? Now this is what I can tell you, and this is where the market manipulation comes in. Before I get into the trading, one thing you have to realize is the information that you get from the mainstream media, i.e., CNBC, MSNBC, CNN, whatever, Fox News, whatever the case may be. Those people do not know what they're talking about. Do not listen to those people if you want to get in cryptocurrency, because they're telling you what they want you to hear and what they want you to do. JP Morgan's, I think it was his president or vice president, Jamie Dimon. I remember when Bitcoin, right. I remember when Bitcoin first hit $5,000. Jamie Dimon came out and had this big thing about how Bitcoin was a scam. If I see any of my employees messing with it, you know, they're fired, yada, yada, yada. From that news coming out, Bitcoin dropped from 5,000 down to, I believe it was $2,900. When it dropped down to that $2,900, the biggest consumer of Bitcoin was JP Morgan.
Yep.
So, you know, when you see things like that going on, and that's another reason that made me start taking this more serious. Once I start seeing companies such as JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, BP, Microsoft, Intel, ING, it's a organization called the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance, which is an alliance of Fortune 500 companies all put together on one conglomerate. I just came to find out that the whole state of Illinois is part of that Ethereum Alliance. So when you start seeing things like that taking place, it's time for you to start taking it serious, because I follow the money.
Right, and big money is definitely moved into the cryptocurrency space, which is why you see the market caps that you're seeing now. But like you say, you know, what the president may publicly say of the organization and what they actually may be doing can be two different things. And because it is an unregulated market, they really can't get caught up in any trouble over it because it's an unregulated market. But one thing that is important is, you know, when you're making your moves, don't get caught up in the moves that's caused by a whale when you're just a minnow. You know, you want to ride the wave, but don't get overtaken by it either.
There you go. There you go. Exactly. And another thing that we have to realize, for those of you that may have gotten into Bitcoin when it was at a higher price, or I know Bitcoin Cash. I know when Bitcoin Cash first hit Coinbase, you'll be surprised how many people were calling me, hey, brother, man, it just hit Coinbase. It's going up. And I told everyone, man, I'm not touching it. Let it do what it's going to do, because it's going to retrace. I believe Bitcoin Cash, that first day it hit Coinbase, I believe Bitcoin Cash went up to about maybe $5,000. I heard it was $8,000 on, but I'm not sure. But I know $5,000 it hit on Coinbase. The very next day it retraced down to about $2,100, and it has not been able to get back there yet. So for all those people that bought in when it was at that high price, what I want you to realize is that you did not lose anything. With cryptocurrencies, what you have to understand is that you only lose when you sell. You only lose when you sell. So depending on how many currencies you got, I'm gonna say it like this: when you go out and you spend fiat, you're not worried about the value of the fiat. All you're worried about is how many fiat dollars of Federal Reserve notes you have, not knowing that it does have a price on its head also. So it's the same thing when it comes to cryptocurrencies. This is another saying that I tell people. It's not about the dollar amount. It's only about the coin count. Now, you don't want to totally throw the dollar amount out and buy something that's totally worthless. But what I mean by that is, if you bought one Bitcoin, we'll say you bought one Bitcoin at $15,000. We seen Bitcoin drop down from the 20,000 high down to a $5,800 low. And within 3 or 4 days, it jumped right back up to 11,000. Now, what I want to tell people is that when you have that one Bitcoin, always remember that dollar amount only predicated by the value of it. So as long as you have that one Bitcoin, you have one Bitcoin. It doesn't matter the value. Because if you sell that Bitcoin, let's just say you started at 15,000, it went down to that 5,800. You might have felt like, hey, I don't want to lose all my money, so let me sell this Bitcoin. You want to hold on? Give me 1 second. I apologize for that short interruption. Hold on.
No, but I think I already know where he's going with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's about your dollar average of your accumulation. So if you got that one Bitcoin at 15 and it dropped down to 5,800, you know, you might be tempted to sell because you thought you lost 3/4 of your value. But instead, if you would have bought one more Bitcoin at that, let's say 6,000 level, now you got two Bitcoin with an average price of closer to, let's see, 6 and 11 be what, about 12? I'm trying to do numbers off the top of my head. You know, right. Probably closer to 11. So now you got two for 11. So your $15,000 Bitcoin is now, you know, reduced in its overall cost to you.
Right, but you still have that one full Bitcoin.
Exactly. You did not lose your actual holding of the Bitcoin. What you just lost was the potential value at the moment you sell. Because all you have to worry about is the price at the time you decide to sell.
There you go. And that's all that matters. That's all that matters. As long as you have that one Bitcoin, you got one Bitcoin. It doesn't matter the value of it. Because if you know the market, like I know the market, it's going to come back. And that's one thing I had to tell people, that people that got in around October, November, December, it was really hard for you to lose around those times. You could have threw money in the wind and it would have came back more than what you threw out there, because the price was going up. Now, what we're seeing right now with this correction, this is what's separating the actual traders from those that just got in and got lucky because the prices was going up. They thought maybe that they were trading, they were hell of a, you know what I'm saying, entrepreneurs. And it was just that the market was going up. I'm talking about being manipulated to the fullest extent. Now with this correction, now we're seeing who really, really knows how to hold their own in the market. Now you have to worry about stop losses. You have to worry about the value. Now you have to worry about, okay, when stuff's not just going up how it was 2-3 months ago, now what am I going to do when people are freaking out? People are, in their opinion, losing money, not knowing that you have to hold. Now, let me ask this. And this is another thing I try to teach my people. You do, okay, me, I never put any more than about $200 into this 10 months ago. No more than $200. I've never gone back putting any more of my outside money into the system. Never, ever, ever again. And now all of my funds come from this system itself. Like I said, I don't work a government job. So everything I got comes from that initial $200 investment that I put in there. Now, what I want to tell people is that you can start, and this is what I try to show people within, I do have a private group that I teach lessons, tutorials to. And what I teach them is that you can start with one coin, and from that one coin, you can grow a conglomerate versus just holding it. Let's just say, you know, they had that big post out about if you would have bought one Bitcoin a year ago, you have so much more money this time a year later. Okay, that's cool. That's fine and dandy. I would have bought one Bitcoin a year later. I have $20,000. That's fine and dandy. But check this out. What if I'd have bought that one Bitcoin, right? And what if I would have sold it on the rallies, which is an uptrend, or when the price spikes up, and then bought back in on the dips, or when the price goes back down?
That's creating your own dividend right there, but man, you sell the rips and buy the dips.
There you go. And what you're doing is you're accumulating more coin every time you do that. So within a year's time of you selling on the rallies and buying on the dips, you could have turned that one Bitcoin into about 5 Bitcoin just by using that one Bitcoin, though, not using any more money. It's all about the coin. So with me, okay, I got one Bitcoin, right? I buy one Bitcoin at $1,000. It goes up to $2,000. I think it's going to retrace. I sell it. It drops back down to $1,500. Now I take that $2,000 that I had because I sold it for USDT, which is the equivalent or the cryptocurrency equivalent to the United States dollar. I go back in with that 2,000. Now I got 1.5 Bitcoins. It goes up again. I sell. It retraces. I go back in. Now I got 2 Bitcoin. It goes back up. I sell. It retraces. I go back in. Now I got 2.5 or 2.3 or whatever the case may be. But you see where I'm going with this. You can grow that initial coin and start a whole coin count just off of that initial investment. You do not have to continuously put money, your hard-earned money, your outside money into the system. You can take your initial investment and make that money work for itself, called compound interest. Compound interest is one of the, I believe Albert Einstein
called one of the other 7 wonders of the world.
There you go. There you go. And it's something that we as a people have not been privy to. Like, the funny thing about it, we use it. We use it sometimes and don't even know that we're using it. You understand what I'm saying?
We quick to flip a brick. We quick to flip a brick, and that's nothing but compound interest. Only problem is when you try to cash out, you're looking at 10 to 20 or a bullet.
Hey, there you go. And what's crazy is I was gonna use some street analogy to try to tie it in. I just didn't know what type of crowd we had. But it's the same thing. Is okay. I take $15,000. I go buy me a book. I go to the store. Not even a book. I'm not even gonna start that big. I take $80. I go buy me a ball. I flip that ball. I come back. I take that whole 150, 160, whatever I made. I take that whole thing to the store. Now I grab two. I flip that. Now I take that whole 300 to the store. Now I grab three. You understand what I'm saying? So I took that initial 80. I never had to look back and put any more money into it. Now I'm at a brick. But this brick came out of that $80 that I had so many more months ago. And that's the exact, all you're doing is compounding your interest. What compound interest is, the amount of the profit that you make, you take it back to the store with you and you invest that with your initial capital. That's compound interest. That's how you really, really, really grow your funds. That's how you really grow.
Right. A lot more people might be dividends. And that's why I consider it more like creating your own dividend. Because people may not understand, compound interest. They may understand interest, but a lot more, depending on where you're at in your financial knowledge, you're creating your own dividend because cryptocurrencies don't have a free cash flow like a Fortune 500 company or a stock that's going to be able to throw out free cash flow that can be paid out as a dividend, but you can create your own. But like you're saying, and like I say, you sell the rips. If you know about your technical analysis, it starts grinding out to that outside that Bollinger Band. You sell that rip. You wait for it to dip back down to that low side of the Bollinger Band or retest some of those 60, 90, 120 averages. And you buy those dips. And now, like you say, you're doing a cost averaging and buying and accumulating more of the coin that you're in. It may not just be in Bitcoin, maybe in Ethereum, maybe in Litecoin. But these same principles can be taken to any coin, any stock, really in any asset class when it comes to investing.
Facts. There you go. Because what we're doing here is not entirely exclusive to cryptocurrency. It's not.
The psychology and the nature of markets are universal no matter what's being traded on the market. I don't care if you're talking about the price of weed or the price of popcorn. The way the markets work is the way the markets are going to work.
Right. And this is another thing that I tell people. Right now we're looking at everything as just cryptocurrencies. It's just a coin, it's just a coin, it's just a coin. But in all actuality, family, depending on what coins you're looking at, it's not just a coin. A lot of these, let's see, I'll use Ethereum, for instance, right? We all know Ethereum is an actual platform, has a use case, has a technology behind it. So right now, the people that own Ethereum, right now it's just being traded as a coin, blah, blah, blah. 50 to 100 years from now, when Ethereum is the major, let me see, how do I put this? Okay, look at it like this. Music coin, a coin for decentralized music. Right now, it's just a coin. But 100 years from now, Music Coin, the company that is, could be the aftermath of the future. So wouldn't you want to hold shares within that company? And that's how I look at a lot of these coins. It's not a coin. It's the share that I'm buying of that company that within 50 to 100 years, we don't know who they're going to be. They might be one of the biggest, because a lot of this stuff that's around right now is going to fade out, family. It's going to fade out. Think of companies that were around in the 70s and the 80s, that were around from the 40s and the 30s that are no longer with us. These companies. Right. Right. There you Easy. Easy. And that's all I want people to understand that, man, some of these you do not want to get rid of. You want to hold these for the long run, not for the value of what it might. I mean, it is for the value of what it might be, but it's for the overall um there you go. There you go. There you go. There you go. In fact, you know what I think they're closing up right now because I just seen them doing a big sale. Think of this: Toys R Us. I think Toys R Us is going out of business. I might don't quote me on this, but I know in the Chicago area they're closing down a lot of stores. Yeah, there you go. And I remember, in fact, what's crazy, I remember Toys R Us dollars. I remember the what were they, Joffrey or the giraffe dollars? Yeah. So with that closing up, right? Who do we think? Okay, number two, everything's being decentralized. So who's gonna be the biggest decentralized toy carrier of the future? That's who I want to get behind. Who's gonna be the Toys R Us of the future? And that's what you want to look for. That's what you want to look for, man. Now, right, right. Like a lot of people, they get there's right now. It's a lot of people holding the Bitcoin cash bag right now. That's hoping and wishing and praying that it would go back up to where it was. And and this is another reason I tell people: do not put money in here that you are dependent on. So if you got to pay rent at the end of the month and it's the first, don't put your rent money into this, thinking that okay, I'm gonna flip this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna turn because things could go south. There are no guarantees, just like there's no guarantees in anything. You know, a lot of people try to say that this is like gambling. This look, if you get up every day and you go buy a lottery ticket, I would prefer you putting it in the crypto versus buying that lottery ticket because that lottery ticket that you bought, once you don't hit, you throw it away. It's worthless. But that $10 that I put on Bitcoin, hey, 6 months from now, ain't no telling what that $10 is gonna be. You understand what I'm saying? But that money you spent on that ticket is in the trash because you spent it on a piece of paper with a bunch of numbers on it. And in fact, let me go back to this also when I try to explain to people what money really is. When you put your money in a bank, right? And let's just say you want to go get a bank statement. And this actually goes to who owns your money also. I'm gonna get back to that. But when you go get a bank statement from the bank, they are not giving you a Polaroid picture of any type of dollars or $100 bills. They're giving you a bunch of numbers on a piece of paper. And that's all money is. Money is just numbers, binary code, zeros and ones. That's all it will ever be. It's just a represent dollars are just a representation of that. Now, back when it was backed by gold, you could have said something different, but it's not anymore. So I don't want to hear that same argument anymore. So to double back on what I was talking about as far as you own your money, a lot of and I often ask people, why do you put your money in the bank? Why do you put your money in the bank? And a lot of people can't either truthfully answer or they really don't know. For in my opinion, I think it's like a security net for most people that they don't trust themselves with their money. Now, you can put your money in the bank and be like, oh well, they insured up to this much and it's my money. Go to a bank without your ID and try to get what you call your money out of there. I don't care. Look, bro, I don't care if you've been in that bank every single day for the past 365 days and you've been seeing the same Miss Jane or whatever her name is or whatever his name is. When you go into that bank and you ain't got that little plastic card with your picture and your corporate name on there, they're gonna tell you, hey, I'm sorry, Mr. and Miss So-and-so. I know I see you here every day, but you know what? Since you ain't got that plastic with your picture on it, I'm not able to give you any money out of here. Even though it may be yours, I'm not able to give it to you. Also, I'm gonna charge you for holding it. I'm gonna charge you for transacting with it. I'm gonna charge you anytime you want some. So
right. And here's the killer thing to me right now is these interest rates. You know, a good savings account right now is paying what 1.8, 1.9 at the high end, and inflation is at 3%. And if you've been listening to what Trump has been saying, their goal is to get inflation to 4%. So if inflation's at 4% and the money you sitting in your account is only getting you 1.9%, every dollar that you leave in there is losing you a nickel every year.
Yep. Facts. And a lot of people, especially our people, aren't too keen to the numbers game like that or how these financial institutes actually work. You know, I got a book I wrote back in August of last year called The Puzzle, The Enigma Behind Bitcoin and Cryptocurrency. And within the book, I actually go into a lot to how the banks work. And I show people, a lot of people have this misconception of how much money the FDIC insures you up to. And it's not what people think. I've heard all type of crazy. In fact, I almost want to bring it up. In fact, I am. Let me pull this up because I want to read. And this is from their website, from the US.gov website. You can go check the FDIC yourself, and this is exactly what it's going to tell you because they're not insuring you up to the amounts that many people misappropriate. Think that it is. Hold on, let me pull this up real quick, and I'm gonna tell you exactly how much they insure you up to, and it's not what people think it is. Let me see, where is it at? Give me 1 second, family. I apologize.
You're great, man. You've been giving the listeners, the viewers, a lot of great information. That's why I wanted to bring you on because you kind of bring the whole puzzle together for a lot of people. And that's why I wanted to make sure, like I said, I had you on as a guest so we can have these discussions because, that's what, Black Money Market News is about making sure that the people are educated to what they're really dealing with from a financial situation and how they can get themselves out of this hamster wheel that is entrapping us in financial slavery. We off the plantation, but now we working in a different type of plantation and we got to devise our ways. And, in a lot of ways, I see that like this is the way of us building our underground railroad is through investing and through, cryptocurrencies, especially with the cryptocurrencies being decentralized and kind of anti-government in a way, is definitely like, to me, the new digital underground railroad because it can be the key to freedom to a lot of people if you have access to it, if you know how to use it, and if you know how to, work the system properly.
Right. And another thing that I actually show people how to do, a lot of people think that Bitcoin is the gateway or the only way to get into this field. I actually show people how you can get into this and you don't even have to purchase Bitcoin. You can come in the field without purchasing Bitcoin and actually get to these exchanges and get to trading without first having to buy Bitcoin. Now, right now, the transaction fees of Bitcoin has gone down. But not too long ago, I'm talking about the fees were so high that it was, and then the transaction times were slow. So I was actually showing people an ultimatum of coming into the system by using Litecoin versus Bitcoin.
Right. And Litecoin's fees and transaction, timing is so much quicker. And then, even if you're using Coinbase, you still got to put people on game on GDAX because GDAX is really where you want to be if you have a Coinbase account.
Right. Now, let me put this out there. One reason why I don't build so much on how to use GDAX and Coinbase, I'm going to be honest with you. I've never used it to buy Bitcoin. I have not paid for any coin or Bitcoin in the past 8-9 months. So it's hard for me to tell people how to buy Bitcoin because I don't buy it. I earn it every day. And I've been earning it for the past, 10 months now. After that initial, in fact, if you go on my YouTube channel, Chicago Crypto Hustler, one of the first, I think 3 or 4 videos I have on there is me actually going to the ATM machine and showing people how to use the ATM. That was my last time ever putting money in this. You can go watch the video on YouTube. In fact, you can actually see my whole journey in cryptocurrency on YouTube from where I started to where I'm currently at now. Now, let me put this out there. This is an excerpt from my book, The Puzzle. And a term I want people to become familiar with is fractional reserve banking. And as an example, let's say you get a bank $10,000, right? And this is legal. This is legal. It's legally allowed to spend up to $9,000 of your money and only keep $1,000. The United States Reserve requirement or percentage of net deposits that the banks are actually required to keep in liquid financial instruments is generally 10% for most banks. So, for example, if the bank's net worth is, we'll say, $1 million, the bank only needs to keep $100,000 on hand at any given time. Facts.
That's what brought down a lot of those financial institutes during the last recession, is because they were investing in these high risk assets that turned out to be a bubble. And so when the check came due, they didn't have enough cash on hand to write them checks.
Exactly. And that's what we're known. That's what is known, or what leads to what's known as a bank run, where the banks fail because they're unable to fulfill all their customers' withdrawals. And that in part is what led to the Great Depression. Facts. Now, let me get to this FDIC, right? So after the Great Depression, right, the government created the FDIC, or the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, which is supposed to guarantee the customer's deposit in the bank up to $250,000. I've heard some people say 2.5 million, but I think they were just off on a number. But, and I have the actual press release in my book. You can see it where they said this. The FDIC itself acknowledges in the above document, because I'm reading it straight from my book, it only holds enough money to cover just over 1% of all deposits it insures. So if the bank reneges on just over 1% of all the deposits, the FDIC can't hold it. They cannot insure it. So when you think that the FDIC insures all this money for you, think again.
It's impossible. It's systematically impossible for them to have that much cash on hand. Like, if you look at like what the books show, you know, there should be close to like $14 trillion in US dollars in banks. So that would mean the government itself would have to have an additional another $14 trillion in cash. And we know this government don't got enough $14 trillion in cash because we $8 trillion in debt.
There you go.
But Amir, I want to kind of wrap it up real quick, man. I want you to, let people know. I got your information on the screen, but I want you to let people know where they can find you, where to follow you, where they can get some more information, where they can get, in touch with you about taking your classes, etc., man.
No doubt. Well, for those that are tuning in, that may be tuning in through via Facebook, I do a early rising show every rising about 9 a.m. Central, which is Chicago time, where I go through the top 20 coins in the market. I go through the biggest gainers and the biggest losers, the top 30 on each side, as long as the volume is over $50,000 within the last 24 hours. I do crypto news. I do a live Q&A. Now, outside of that, I have consulting services where if you need hands-on, if you need someone to talk you through how to operate the wallet, how to open up the wallet, private seed in the wallet, how to save your private seed, how to orchestrate, how to transact, how to follow a transaction. I got a private group also, right? And we just did an exercise within a private group where I sent out a small amount of Litecoin. It was only about $5. And this is how cheap and how fast Litecoin is. I sent out $5 in Litecoin, and I made it go through about 10 of our members, right? So I sent it to one person, they sent it to the next person. What I made these people do, what I showed them how to do was, number one, how to receive and send a transaction. And number two, how to track that transaction. You'll be surprised how many people did not know that they can track a transaction. That you can go on the Block Explorer, which is the public ledger or the website that lets you see each and every transaction for each and every coin that you're dealing with. I've got videos on my YouTube channel to show you how to follow Dragon Coin, how to follow Ethereum, how to follow BNB, because there's so many different coins, but you can follow each and every one of them. So I got the consulting services, I got the private group, I have the book that's for beginners, and I wrote it in with my son in mind, who's only 11. He was 10 at the time, who I've been teaching how to trade since he was 10 years old. But I wrote it with him in mind, so it's kid friendly and adult ready. And you can catch me on Facebook at Amir Hodari. That's HODARI. And in parentheses, if you find the page, just in case there's another Hamir Odari, it'll be Shy Crypto Hustler. On YouTube, I'm Chicago Crypto Hustler. On Instagram, I believe I'm Chicago_crypto coins. On Twitter, which I forgot to give you my Twitter link, it is Chicago Crypto and the number 4, Bitcoin Block Bully. Steam It, Amir Jalil. Steam It, family. If you're not on Steam It, if for those of you that are Facebook heads, if you like posting on Facebook all day and every day, you need to go open you up a Steam It account. You get paid for your content. If people like it, how on Facebook you can get 100 likes. Well, on Steam It, get you 100 likes and see how your bank account looks after that, or see how your Steam It account looks after that. So, and I also want to thank you, Brother Samuel, for allowing me to come on your platform and expound and share this information with the viewers. So I thank you for that, brother. I really appreciate that. And always know that the reciprocity of my yacht will be shown between us.
Always, King, always, man. And like I said, I try to use this platform to help connect, people that need the knowledge with people that can provide the knowledge. Because I'm not an expert, you know what I'm saying? Like you were saying in your disclosure, like I disclosed the show, I'm not a financial advisor, I'm not an expert. I just have experience. I can share you my experience. I can share you the knowledge that I've found and that I've learned and that I gained the hard way and the easy way, and hopefully make your path easy on your journey to financial freedom. So man, I appreciate you being on the show tonight. Hopefully some of my viewers better get connected with you and get some more of that blockchain bully raw, that real, that man, I love just watching your shows like on Instagram. I catch the highlights and getting on YouTube. So again, viewers, if you haven't, make sure you get in touch with man, follow him on the social media. Again, I want to appreciate you having me on the show tonight. I know I told you about 15, 20 minutes, but sometimes when great minds get to talking, we just keep rolling, and we 45 minutes deep into it already. So again, I just want to appreciate you having you on tonight, my man.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. No doubt. And I'm man, down and prepared to come back anytime you'll have me back.
Already. I will definitely be in touch about that. We'll get that going.
Okay, no doubt, brother. Peace, power, and prosperity. Peace, power, and prosperity to the family.
All right, everybody. That was Amir. The Bitcoin bully, blockchain bully. Man, I know tonight's show is running long, but I still want to make sure let me get my charts up as I was starting off at the end of that you get at the end. All right, I think I got my microphone working now, man. But so I just want to kind of go over what what kind of happened on the markets today. Let me go ahead and pull up the Dow Jones chart so we can kind of take a look at what the DJI did. As you can see, we kind of ended the day at the lows. Let me take it from this daily chart and bring us back over to the minute chart so you can see how this action kind of took place today. We actually kind of opened with a little bit of a rally, and then throughout the day, we kind of had the normal end of the month selling. It did kind of escalate kind of quickly towards the end of the day, dropping a good, 400 points, nearly from, where it was at from roughly like 2 o'clock to the end of the trading session. But, I think if you're looking back at this daily chart, we are retesting the 20-day moving average right now. So if we can hold this level here on tomorrow's trading, we may be at a good support level to see it kind of bounce back. Pretty much technology and financials were two of the main sectors that held their own for most of the day, but also gave up the ghost at the end. But this month was the first, down month on the Dow Jones in 10 months. S&P 500 broke a 15-month winning streak. So we're breaking, down to some major levels. But in a normal, healthy market, you're going to have these levels of correction. So I'm actually happy to see this correction that we had this past month in February. You got to have the up and the down, otherwise you're in an illogical market. So, looking at the S&P 500 on the SPY Spider ETF, again, same type of move. Last 2 days have been kind of down. If you saw Monday's show, I even kind of predicted that we were getting kind of to the high side and expected a little bit of a pullback. So we still, at least on the S&P 500, are in a bullish crossover on the MACD. We haven't really gone in negative territory, so I would not be surprised if by the end of the week we are retesting the highs that we hit yesterday in trading, which is around 2,800 on the S&P 500. And let me switch back to the Dow Jones and look at the level on it. Yeah, I would not be surprised if we retest that 25,850 level on the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Let's take a look at the Bitcoin charts. I know a lot of our viewers tonight are in the crypto space. It was a little bit of a down day as well, overall, but it is maintaining this trading range I've been calling out for like the last week and a half or so, which is between, let's say, 9,000 on the low end to a high side of 11. So if you're looking for your next bull case, we're again waiting for a breakout above 12. And if we can get this breakout and hold above 12, that would be a strong statement for the bull market being back in effect in Bitcoin. It's been holding these key levels, been holding the one. This is roughly a 1-year moving average, the 6-month moving average, and it's been kind of consolidating in this sideways action now for about a week and a half. So we'll see where it goes. But again, you buying these dips and you selling these rips. You went from the low of, no one's going to catch the bottom low, but let's just say, you caught 6,000 and you sold it when it spiked back above, 11.6. You doubled up right there and you could have bought you even more coin when it came back down to 9. So again, looking at the technical analysis, we are getting a little bit high on the Bollinger Band, but the Bollinger Band is compressing. So I'm not too concerned about it, but we are waiting. I am waiting for a breakout above 12, really stand firm on a bull case back on for long term on Bitcoin. Let's take a look at the VIX since it did kind of spike again the last couple of days. The volatility index again kind of measures the fear of the stock market. It really is just the information, the premium stock options in the market. So as we've had these last 2 days that were down, we kind of went back from a low of 15 and spiked back above 20 today, which is retesting now what I would consider resistance is 20 on the chart, and we're looking at support around 14. Looking back at late last year, first part of this year, seeing dips into the 9s and 8s was common. I don't think we're ever going to get back to those levels anytime soon. I would be, making a bullish case on longer term volatility increasing, maybe looking at 14, maybe 13 as the low end now for volatility. And again, whenever the markets kind of correct themselves, you're going to see these big spikes. We had a spike up to 50 when the market first really started going into correction territory, and definitely healthily pulled back. But I would not be surprised if we see another sell-off in the next coming months if we get another spike above 30. So looking at that volatility index there. Let me take a look. What's another one I want to go over real quick? Yeah, the bonds. So bonds were relatively, down today, roughly 2%, back at 287. Uh, I would not, be concerned about bonds so much, but a lot of the market action has been circling around bonds. But today, as the market went down, which again was mostly due to end of the month selling, bonds also went down as well. But if you do see another spike and another retest of that 295 and maybe eventually up to that 3% yield on the 10-year note, that will cause some downward pressure on the stock market. We are seeing some sideways, consolidation now with a base of roughly maybe 284 on the low end. Again, with the high end around 295. We are in a bearish crossover on the MACD, so that's at least good news for the short term. And we are starting to get some consolidation now in the Bollinger Band. So I would not be surprised if we maybe even retest maybe a 282 or even a 28 level. But definitely longer term, we are going to be looking at crossing over the 3, and especially with the new Fed chair speaking, I believe it was yesterday, talking up to maybe 4 rate hikes this year, while the market was mainly thinking that uh, the market was mainly predicting about 3 interest rate hikes. So I think I said last week that there's been rumors of even 5. I'm thinking we're going to still stick to that 3 to 4. I don't really think 5 is a possibility, but you always got to keep your ear to the ground and stay up to date on it. But you will see more rate hikes if inflation continues to pick up. And again, if you've been listening to Trump on the mic, he is trying to speak up inflation and speak down the dollar. Both of those things will cause interest rates to increase, which will also cause your stock markets to decrease. So just some information to keep your ear and eye out on listening. Um, Taking it just to some general information. Um, Spotify announced their IPO today, hoping to raise $1 billion when it goes public later this year. They're not doing their traditional IPO, so I'm still researching exactly how this new process is working. So this is a great opportunity if you feel like Spotify could be the Netflix of music. Getting in on that ground level, which is what I always promote. Get in early, make sure that you are getting it at a good value. They are expecting to price it right around maybe $30. Well, we'll see where the final shakedown is. Since today's the first day of the announcement, there's a lot of information from today to when it first starts trading that you gotta listen and keep an eye out for. Definitely read their perspective that they posted to the SEC website so you can get a full understanding of their business model and where they see their growth and potential. I think they announced that at the end of last year they had over 70 million paid subscribers, over 140 million active listeners, and that year over year that the amount of time people are listening has doubled. So all great news from a business perspective, from a user standpoint. But then you look at their numbers and their perspective, they also announced that they lost $1.5 billion last year, and that their losses actually escalated from 2017 from 2016. So, what is causing the escalation in their losses? So, great news for seeing such a big IPO like Spotify coming to market. Another $1 billion news was Ring, the smart lock security company that kind of got their first big push on Shark Tank about 3 years ago, got snatched up by Amazon for $1 billion. Now, these guys were on Shark Tank when they were first really in development, had less than $200,000 in sales, and they gave themselves an evaluation of about $2.5 million, and all the sharks turned them down. I think what's the crazy angry ball guy on there? He was the only one that gave him an offer for a loan with a little bit of equity involved. But to go from a Shark Tank company 3-4 years ago worth $2.5 million to being bought up by Amazon for $1 billion less than 3 to 4 years later is that's just what entrepreneurial gumption can do for you if you develop a product, find your niche, work your niche, and continue to develop and put your all into something. So that was some motivation I saw today is how someone can start off with an idea, a basic prototype, keep working his plan, keep working the system, and now and you're a billionaire. But other than that, I know this show is long. We're at hour 5 or so on the stream, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. See you guys Friday night for the next episode of the Black Money Market News. If you want to support the show, I always take tips. There's a PayPal link there at the bottom of the screen, the Patreon as well, with our monthly newsletter that gives you actionable option trades, stock trades, and tips. And it kind of gives you some of the plays that I do on a daily to weekly basis in the market. Because, like, Amir is saying, it's not about how much you put in, but how much you can build up. And so what I try to do with those actionable plays is give you ways that you can put $50, $100, $200 in the market. It's going to give you a 50%, 100% return on investment, and then you can do the same play again on maybe another opportunity the next month later. So you can slowly start building up and increasing, your little nest egg for your future. Um, I appreciate you guys sticking on tonight's show. But again, a special thanks to my special guest, Amir, the blockchain bully. I'm going to update the video description, so all of his links will be in there as well. I know some people are saying there are some audio problems, so if you are having audio, we're having audio issues on the stream. I will re-upload the recording to YouTube, so it'll be a great audio copy on YouTube either later tonight or first thing in the morning. My name is Sam. I'm the host of the Black Money Market News. I'm Samuel Hill Sr. on Facebook. Appreciate all the comments. Let's see some shout outs real quick. Joy, Latanya, Nicole, Bo, everyone that was on the Facebook stream. You know, if you had this is your first time watching Black Money Market News, I'm gonna wrap up the show like this. If this is your first time watching the Black Money Market News, I do this show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday nights around 8:30 Central, and it's really just encouraging, Black folks, African Americans, anybody really out there to start investing because the number one wealth creator in the world is the stock market. And that's where African Americans as Black folks, we fail to do is get active in investing. We maybe put some money in a 401k. Grandpa and them may have a pension. You may have a life insurance policy, but we don't get active in investing and trading and planning on how we use the market. We just kind of ride the wave, and if we win, we win, we lose. And so that's why a lot of the older generation feel like putting money in the stock market is throwing money in the wind. And that's not the case whatsoever. There's always smart plays and stupid plays, and the only stupid play is trying to play it if you don't know what you're doing. Because with the stock market, that's one thing I love about the stock market is you can make money on the way up and you can make money on the way down if you know what you're doing. And so I hope this show gives people the encouragement and some tools to use if they want to get active in investing and active in trading. Again, if you want to support the show, information at the bottom. Hit me up if you need any lessons when it comes to investing. I do private lessons. Also, we are starting a next round of the Gold and Bitcoin Bootcamp. If you want some free game, I understand not everyone want to pay for knowledge, but if you want some free game, the next round of Gold and Bitcoin Bootcamp starts in 2 weeks. Hit me up if you want the information for that. It is a 6-week program where we break down, myself and 2 other instructors break down how to save and buy, trading your fiat into gold and saving the gold, and how you can change your fiat into cryptocurrencies and accumulate cryptocurrencies. It's an online course. It's international now. But if you want information on that free program, again, just drop me a message on Facebook. I'm Samuel Hill Sr. You can drop me a message on the Black Money Market News page. Other than that, one love, peace, good night, and tonight has been a heck of a show.